guys, so I managed to take the camera out for like half a day after just shooting some pics inside my house. Just wanted to get used to the feel of the camera and basically start to learn to get around the controls and just to navigate what it's got on the body. And yeah, it was really easy to settle into. A couple of times I needed to read the manual just to see how to change a couple of things, but generally if you're used to working with new technology, you can figure it out pretty easily. I was shooting on manual, but I was just balancing the metering kind of in the middle, and you can see the exposures are pretty bang on, so no issues there. And it was really, as you start shooting, you realize how natural and how good the colors are, the contrast. It's just, obviously you need to fine tune your camera according to how you want to shoot and your style of shooting. Perhaps get some custom functions going, but this is just as it came out of the box and very pleasing and easy to use. I understand that the quality that you're seeing on the screen at the moment isn't what I'm seeing, but just to give you an idea of the images, so I will post the high resolution images as we go, but just to give you an idea of the workflow of the camera and what I did just to play around. Okay. This was with the equivalent of the 85mm 1.2 lens, and I must say it is a stunning lens. As I say, these pictures haven't been edited at all. They're straight out of the camera. Most of them are JPEGs. There's one raw one that I want you to have a look at. But the sharpness, obviously they've tuned it in the post-processing of the capture, but it's remarkable. Really soft, smooth grades, fine detail. I know that has something to do with the lens, but the lens and the camera work really nicely together. There's a high key scene. This was shot on 400 ISO. This was with the zoom lens, the 12-60. Also amazing sharpness, really nice. Just browsing at these images quickly, we are shooting on a 20 megapixel sensor, but you kind of get the idea that in reality, as far as full frame is concerned, you're looking at closer to, like, I wouldn't say a 36 megapixel photograph, but certainly maybe a 28, 30 megapixel image. See the colors here. You're picking up details, like when I was shooting I didn't even see that in the, and with the naked eye you can't see scratches like that, so it's picking up really nice details. Yeah, I'm trying to throw the background out of focus as much as possible, so I was shooting wide open just to see how it compares with the full frame blur, the way that you can throw focus out on a full frame camera. Once again, the detail really crisp. Then I put it into the burst mode. So what it can do is it can shoot 60 frames in a second, where it obviously doesn't use the mechanical shutter, it's the digital shutter, and the frames go really quickly. And the amazing thing is they are still 20 megapixel images, and it can shoot 60 of them in 1 second. I mean, when would you need that? I certainly wouldn't, but isn't it great to have? So here are all of those 60, they're all exactly the same, and I was really glad to see that as you flick through them, you don't notice any changes in exposure. Sometimes when you do this on certain cameras, you get different bands of exposure on the top and at the bottom of your image. These are all absolutely identical, which is really nice to have. All right, just details. This was also with the zoom lens, the 12-60. Really nice details. This was shot on vivid. It was an overcast day, so I put the setting on vivid, and it certainly has picked up these colors. This was shot in the shade. Let's go back here. Okay, also on vivid. just pleasing to the eye. Yeah, I can't fault the contrast of it at all. And as I say, this wasn't, I hadn't messed around with any custom setting. This is just as the camera comes. Great detail. Really bright colors. I can see already just this lens is, or these lenses are just on the edges. I mean, I haven't done a complete test at all, but I can just pick up that the edge quality of these lenses is superb. Right, then I tried the burst mode, 20 frames a second. I asked my wife to walk towards me as fast as she could. So I was tracking the focus, so it shot 20 frames. And let's have a look. It's tracking well. All good. Yeah, it held it really well. Then a car came past, a lot faster than my wife could walk, so I thought I'd give that a go, and the same thing, it tracked it the whole way perfectly. So the autofocus is certainly, as they say, it's amazing. Okay, just a couple of close-ups. Okay, and something like that, when you're getting this close, I don't miss the 35mm feel at all, because you're really throwing the background out of focus. But it's when you get a little further away, when you're shooting, let's say, a person or a fashion shoot, and your model is, let's say, 2 or 3 meters away, I think that's where the 35mm will still be able to kick your background nicely out of focus. This red has come up really nicely, very smooth gradations, such a pleasing image. Okay, just a general scene, nice details everywhere. It's a bit of a tricky lighting situation, shot on a high ISO. I think this was on 1600. Okay, so my gut feel about the ISO is that it's kind of standard. I wouldn't normally shoot anything above 1600 ISO. I did push this one, and obviously you start to fall apart when you get to around about 1600, 3200. But if it's just to capture a moment, then of course that's fine. There's no problem using that. So the ISO handles reasonably well. Okay, so the one thing that I really wanted to check out on this camera was the 80 megapixel option. Now bear in mind that because your sensor is moving during your exposure, that you need to put the camera on a tripod, and obviously you can't have anything moving in your scene. It actually takes 8 pictures as the sensor moves, and then it merges those together to come out with an 80 megapixel image. So I really wanted to get in and check the quality. So the one on the right hand side, this is your standard, your 20 megapixel image. Let's zoom in and have a look at what's going on there. Okay, that's 20 megapixel mode. And the left is the 80 megapixel mode. Let's go a little bit more. All right. You can start to see the difference there. I know you guys can't see it as clearly as I can, but you can see this is starting to break apart. Here it's holding nicely. There you can notice the difference. I'm sure you guys can see it too. So my general feel is that the 80 megapixel image is coming out with, look, it is a lot better. It doesn't feel to me like it's 60 megapixels better. It's more of like, you get the feel that it's more like from a 40 megapixel sensor, but it's a lot better. I'd say it's pushing it. If you're going to say to someone, I'm going to give you an 80 megapixel image, this might be pushing it. However, I really want to go now and have a look at the raw version. Now that was the JPEG version of the two. So there's the one. Let's just open it up without changing any of the raw settings. Wow, okay, so it's opened the 80 megapixel image up, and look at that, it's 230 megs open. That is massive. Wow. Okay, so here's a side-by-side comparison. This one on the right is our 80 megapixel JPEG. The one on the left is our 80 megapixel RAW file. You can see that the JPEG has been worked on a little bit. The RAW is giving you the just the actual raw information off the sensor. So this one has been tweaked, but wow, this certainly untweaked is really, really impressive. That JPEG is also impressive. You can see it's starting to fall apart a little bit there. This I'm sure you could work with a little bit more in your raw settings.